Hello and welcome to the final episode of our series on Peter Jackson's The Hobbit. I did it, you guys. I did it. I said it. This is Podcast of the Rings. I'm the host. I'm one of the hosts, Jessica Lynn Verdi. You know what my brand is? Is just like charmingly chaotic.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
I'm Ron Burgundy. He has a podcast, and I want him. I haven't listened to it, but I think he should just say I'm Ron Burgundy every time he outros. I'm Jessica Lynn Verdi, and I'm with Alex Mitchell and Ben Goddard. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Hello.
So, Ben, are you sad?
I am.
I'm sad too.
It's the final episode, but at least for a while. Hopefully you guys will have me back. But it's been a great 7-week, 7-episode journey. I mean, longer than 7 weeks because we took a little break for the holidays. But yeah, it's been, honestly, I really enjoyed rewatching these movies. I hadn't in a while. And then, I always like rewatch the Lord of the Rings over Christmas. So there was just a great Middle Earth few months.
It's been rich in Fiddle Earth. And what started out as like, hey, I'd love to guest on your show. Hey, I'd love to talk about The Hobbit. Hey, let's talk about 2 episodes worth of each movie. Let's also wrap it out. I love that. I love that this is that fun for you too, that you want to be on here that much. So
oh yeah, I definitely like squeezed every ounce of podcast time I could because I remember I think we were playing Fortnite and you didn't know that I was such a Middle Earth fan, and we like got talking about it, and then you told me about your podcast, and I was like, I tried to be real cool. I was like, yeah, if you ever need a guest, like, I guess you could ask me. I'm not doing too much or anything.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with asking too, and this is also my like not so subtle way of asking the audience if you guys want something Ben to talk about specifically, like if you're like, oh, I'd really love to hear Ben's take on this, you're an easy ask back, and I think we'll have you back for another series akin to this. But here we are. Alex, how do you feel?
I feel mixed. I mean,
get ready to get rid of Ben, but
no. Here's what I'll say that I've loved about having Ben on is you are probably been the most passionate fan of these movies that I've ever had the pleasure of speaking with. I think most of my friends that I've talked with about Lord of the Rings, we just kind of silently shove the Hobbit trilogy to the corner and don't think about it. But it's been nice to think about it. It's been nice to talk about it with you. And so it's a bittersweet ending because I mean, there's a lot of good in these movies that we've went over, and there's a lot of bad. I haven't. This was my first time watching all of the extended cuts in a row, and some of them for the first time. So there was the old wounds being reopened for me, but at the same time coming back to this series with some more, I think, new appreciation than I had before. So it's been a fun and interesting journey, and I can't think of anyone better than Ben to have joined us along.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm also surprised of how much, like, because I had always been like, I genuinely love the first movie. I love Benedict Cumberbatch, so that makes the second movie, and then the third movie's a mess. But then like rewatching the third movie, like it is one of those kind of just turn your brain off and enjoy Lee Pace, enjoy Super Mario Legolas, like, we like that TikTok rant that we both posted today, just one of my favorite things. Like, it's just the most ridiculous thing, and then the extended version makes it even more ridiculous, with just like the war wagons and the boars and all that stuff. But I was just like, I just had fun watching it, and it's definitely like, it's not Lord of the Rings. That's what you have to remind yourself. It's like, all those pop punk bands I used to like in high school, they all got like, new singers and stuff like that. And it's like, you can't look at old albums and think they're the same band. You just have to they just have the same name. Taking Back Sunday is not the same Taking Back Sunday as, their first album. They changed and they evolved. Linkin Park, it's not Meteora and Hybrid Theory at all times. They changed and they evolved. And it's like you can't look at the Hobbit trilogy like it's Lord of the Rings, because what is Lord of the Rings? What is the first Matrix? The sequels were never going to be the first Matrix, and neither was the Hobbit trilogy. And so, I don't know. I'm probably making excuses for a very mediocre trilogy, but I'm okay with it.
Because we've seen successful sequels before. We've seen people pull it off. I don't know. I would argue that a lot of us didn't think that episodes 1, 2, and 3 of Star Wars were that bad until people started saying they were that bad, because we were the right age for it to be like Star Wars.
Oh and my God, absolutely.
And then all of a sudden everyone's like, those were bad. And I'm like, I guess I have to say that. But
well, I think with the Star Wars analogy, it's kind of this, you come full circle. You go on to use the language of George Lucas, you go on a full hero's journey. You see him as a kid and you go, these are the greatest things ever. I love Jar Jar Binks and Darth Maul. They're so cool. And then you become older and you hear all the criticisms and you go, these are the worst thing to ever happen to this franchise. They're terrible. No one should ever watch them and we should forget they existed. And then you wait a little while and you kind of get over that initial anger of realizing you were lied to. And then you can go back and watch them and go, yeah, but Duel of the Fates and that lightsaber fight, that slaps and it's so good. And you can see the little bits of good in there. And that's what I feel like that I've completed my hero's journey with rewatching this Hobbit trilogy and going, you know what? I've gotten over my initial anger and I can appreciate what there is to appreciate about these films. And that's what I did with Star Wars too. I can watch the prequels now, the Star Wars prequels now, and go, all right, there's some good stuff happening here amidst the crap.
Yeah, like you're absolutely right, Jess. Like when Yoda pulls, apparently like Yoda's not supposed to be cool with a lightsaber. I learned that later in life. I'm sorry. In the theater on opening day, when you saw the shadow of Yoda approaching Count Dooku, the crowd went wild like it was a WWE event. Like people always, there's the, luckily like no one was, we didn't have cell phone cameras back then, but it would have been like that video. Ruined. Yeah, so it was like that, it was
like the Avengers, yeah.
Yeah, like when Cap catches the hammer, like it was that. And so you're right, Alex, like the prequels have plenty of their problems, but it's just, and so do the sequels. Like, but I love the sequel like trilogy, except for Rise of Skywalker. But yeah, it's just you love these movies like for the moments you spend with them and the people you watch them with. And I'm absolutely 100% a mark from Middle Earth, and I know that, and I will take any criticism people give me for that, but that doesn't lessen my enjoyment of them. It increases it. Like I always say, like I used to review movies, and I still do sometimes on Patreon. And when I don't like a movie, but I've seen people that do, I literally always say, I'm jealous of people that like this movie. Like, I'm jealous of people that love the Snyderverse. Granted, there's granted, like the toxic side is the toxic
Those
side.
guys can go, somewhere else.
But like the people that genuinely find like connections with like the last Wonder Woman movie, which I didn't love that much, or, he finally got his Justice League and they're like, I connected with this so much, like in a positive way and not like in a, I'm the Joker, everybody look at me, I'm like, stop that. But just, I'm jealous of those people because I grew up watching Justice League animated and the Batman animated series. I wanted to love those movies so much. I just didn't. So that's all it comes down to is like finding your joy in movies and in media. And like the internet was such a mistake when it comes to fandom because everyone's just got like their little camps and you can't go outside of it apparently. But it's like you love what you love it for the right reasons, and then if someone doesn't, it's fun to have discussions with them about it, but don't, like send death threats or stuff like that. That's where it gets crazy.
And the amount of people think that the emboldened feeling that people get in order to send that just because someone disagrees with them. Yeah. It's wild. And so that's actually an interesting segue to something I'm realizing now that I'm posting those videos from our show. There seems to be some crossover, like everyone really gets cringe about the Rings of Power. A lot of people, as we know, are so angry because it's not Tolkien's world or what, just like people are just, and really it's a thin veil for racism and misogyny. It doesn't mean like you can have, I'm trying to like make it clear. You can have criticisms of Rings of Power. It's not perfect, but if you out and out hate it and say that it's not what it is, actually, then it's really hard for me to have you prove otherwise, that this is just you being racist or afraid of like woke culture, or, you know, everyone says agenda. But there's things that they start pointing out as cringe. This movie is 10 times worth of cringe that Rings of Power is. The amount of stretching the story that is happening is akin to what's happening in Rings of Power. But Rings of Power, they both stay true to like what could have happened. Hey, in our little, you know, people call it fan fiction. Who gives a crap? I guess. Yeah. What do you? How do you point out the hypocrisy? I mean, it's not our job to point out what's wrong with everyone. But like, it's really interesting to me that people can't see the hypocrisy and going, oh, it's so weird when a Rondeer did a double jump, and I'm like, but it's really cool when Legolas does Super Mario Brothers. And to this guy's credit, who did respond, he's like, well, they're both cringe, but that's also okay. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, and that's the only problem I have is when you see inconsistency with people's criticisms, and then you can go to...
Do not make this a comment on me thinking that the Leafs...
I wasn't even going to bring it back there. Wow.
Oh, guilty conscience. Oh, man.
I feel like I do need to clarify, though, and I want you to finish your thought, Alex, but like, okay. I don't think that it's a cool thing that the Leaf woke up the Balrog. I'm saying that was the intention of the creators.
I understand, and
that's
disagree.
What they wanted. You think the intention of the creators wasn't that the Balrog had been woken up. I'm saying the creators purposely showed us that the Balrog woke up by the Leaf. That's all.
And by creators, they mean the show creators, not God himself, guys. Just for the listeners out there,
not Eru Iluvatar. No, look. Here's my belief: is that the author is dead, and author's intent doesn't matter. But anyway, when people have criticisms and they're inconsistent, and then you point to other underlying factors and go, maybe that's actually what you're mad about. That's where I have a problem. But yeah, obviously, if you've listened to any of our past episodes, you know that I don't like a lot of the things about Rings of Power, but I like a lot of the things about Rings of Power, and I'm trying to take it for what it is and not put any of my own biases on it. Like the thing that blows my mind with the criticisms, and I think we talked a little bit about like sort of studio interference with this Hobbit trilogy. I try not to think about that when I'm watching the movie, and then later on you can go, okay, maybe there were other factors that led to, you know, if I see something in the movie that I didn't enjoy, and then I understand what went into making it, I can go, oh, that's probably why. But when you have all these people criticizing Rings of Power simply because it's Amazon, it blows my mind, because it's like, you haven't even seen, this was before the show was even out, you haven't even seen the show, and you're going, oh, well, it's going to suck because it's Amazon. It's like, how do you know?
Then they should just cancel their Prime subscription too. Like,
yeah, honestly, they should. Honestly, we all should.
Well, that's another...
we really all should.
I told myself for months, oh, by the time the year is over, I'm never coming back. But you just can't. Anyway, but I'm with you. We probably should.
Monopolies suck, folks.
Didn't Tolkien write an allegory about that somewhere?
Tolkien didn't write any allegories.
That's why I was trying to trigger you, Alex. Let's get into what the two, so basically our goal today is, what should we keep, what should we get rid of, and how are we going to make this a 2-part movie that's actually good?
What if part one? No,
what if yeah, right. What if Guillermo got his wish?
Yeah, well, and we'll talk a little bit about that. I did no research on that, so the whole impetus is on you guys to tell me what was supposed to happen. Although I did see last night, as I was making the video, what Bolg was supposed to look like. So there was some remnants of the initial physical design. You know, it was going to be a practical, actual human. Some of his armor was in his head too, but Bolg was...
Who do you guys think... Where does Doug Jones fit into Guillermo? Like, where is he? Because Doug Jones is Guillermo's guy. He's the guy in the suit. He's the fish guy in, Shape of Water. He's the fish guy in Hellboy. He's the eyeball hand man in Pan's Labyrinth. Alex, go ahead.
He would have been Gollum. If
no
Guillermo,
way.
yes,
No, you can't.
He wouldn't have.
No, there's no way you can't have Andy
I think
Serkis
Alex
not be
is
that.
right. I think Alex is right.
But
and here's what I'm going to say. Here's my theory that's based on nothing. Guillermo del Toro dropped the project because they wouldn't let him use Doug Jones.
Doug Jones as
Gollum.
See, this is like when, in the Raimi Spider-Man movies, J.K. Simmons is J. Jonah Jameson. And he is that good that they brought him back for the MCU. Like the same, like, I like No Way Home a lot, but like, they brought back Alfred Molina, they brought back Willem Dafoe instead of recast. Like, it's a great story, but I really feel like a lot of it was like, we can't recast these guys. Like, they're so iconic in these roles. We can't do that. And Andy Serkis is in that.
I will agree with you that he's iconic and has defined Gollum in his own way. But the thing that I was excited about when I heard originally that Guillermo was going to be doing the Hobbit movies was, great, we get a completely different take on the world of Tolkien and the Hobbit, and I am all for different interpretations and adaptations of Tolkien, like we're getting now with Rings of Power, even though they're heavily drawing from the Jacksonian kind of filmic language. But as much as like the whole extended universe idea that Marvel has created is cool, I'm tired of it. And I just want to see different takes on this stuff. So seeing Doug Jones as Gollum, like, cool. I've seen Andy Serkis as Gollum, and I want to see something different. I'm going to be real. I want to see something different. I want to see someone else's take on Gollum that's going to be exciting and unique and new. And so I think if we had the Guillermo version, that is where my mind instantly goes for Doug Jones. He obviously could do other roles as well because he's a very talented actor, but I mean, just imagine that lanky, spindly body as Gollum.
I see
even
him
physically.
as Asgard Bolg, like, because I mean, like, he's got a little bit of muscle in Shape of Water. He's like wiry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you make one of them, like a wiry but really strong orc. It's honestly more intimidating in my opinion. Like having like that lean muscle. Like, and so I feel like that's the role for him.
Or he could be the Goblin King. That's just insane.
Absolutely, he could be the Goblin King. That'd be good. That's the thing. I have him as like one of the orcs. Maybe the Necromancer. Maybe they make the, like, if they kept that. I've kind of gone back and forth in my notes if I want to keep that whole storyline. But like make him the Necromancer instead of like the CGI cloud that it is. But I think that would be really cool.
He also, I think, could have done a good Smaug. Sort of.
Oh,
obviously it would be mocap. Because they're not
no,
practical. Yeah, just. I think he could do a good Smaug as well. I would say if we're talking cuts, like, for me, as cool as it was seeing all the White Council stuff, all that's going. That whole plot line that takes up a whole movie's runtime in and of itself, that's got to get cut. Gandalf just leaves and shows back up. There's no explanation. Maybe there's a little bit of a nod to the Necromancer, but we don't see
I think
it.
I have him going to Dol Guldur and then like doing like the whisper, like where you see like the whisper that one time, and that's it. And then basically what Radagast does, where like he sees the I don't know if you need the Nazgul blade or the guy trying to stab him or anything, but you see like the shape of Sauron or the Necromancer, and then he rides away. And so like there's a little bit connectivity. I still have the ring theme being played when Bilbo finds it. Like there's that connectivity to Lord of the Rings, but you don't force feed us for an extra 3 hours that pads these movies.
Yes. All the Rivendell stuff. Like,
well, let's go beat by beat. Let's see what kind of movie we end up with.
I'm down. The first movie's tough for me because I generally think the first movie is what like the theatrical cut, all the extra Rivendell skinny dipping dwarves things. I think that's just superfluous. But I generally think the first movie paces out pretty well. I'm going back and forth if I want that prologue or not, or if I want the dwarves to like, I think I'm going to get rid of the prologue. I know it's very Lord of the Rings, and I like Bilbo introducing it. I think we just reintroduce hobbits again. I think that's okay. Concerning hobbits is fine by me. Like it brings you back into this world. It's such a warm welcome, seeing Sam garden and, people smoking pipeweed and showing how big their pumpkins are. It's great. And then you just have like the dwarves just show up and then them explain, have Balin explain, give more screen time to Ken Stott and, James Nesbitt to use these really talented British actors that you hired for these roles to do it. I do still want Frodo being like, hi, I'm going to go wait for Gandalf. Bye. I still need that. Absolutely. 10 out of 10 would recommend. But yeah, that's probably my first note is like having the prologue be moved to when the dwarves show up and explain to Bilbo who Smaug is, what Erebor is, what Dale is, and all that stuff.
I also think cutting the prologue is good for two reasons. One, all the reasons you just listed. Two, in making this other version of this movie that's cut down, I really also think the tone needs to be changed. This whole trilogy, the problem we talked about was it was juggling two different kinds of feelings, two different tones. And this version, I think it needs to be more, at least in my book, should be more in line with the original tone of the Hobbit novel. So this whole like, the dwarf war versus goblins and this gritty thing, like cut that because I don't want that tone from this. I want this to be from the beginning. Oh, it's this, fish out of water going on an adventure. Isn't this crazy and wild? And look at all these fantastical things. More appealing that as opposed like less gritty and grim and that kind of thing. So cutting that prologue, I think, establishes that tone from the beginning. And honestly, focusing less, and we'll get to where we cut stuff, but focusing less on that whole overarching dwarf kind of Thorin as king in exile subplot throughout, I think would also help in realigning the tone.
I disagree. I think giving him a purpose and a want is good. I think just the way that they go about it could be less melodramatic.
Sure.
Yeah, like I still have, we talked about the Azog reveal. I have him being revealed, at the end, not at the end of the first movie, but, when they fly off with the eagles. I think that is a good reveal. I don't need to see Azog being like this general or talking to Sauron or anything like that.
Right.
But I do think like talking about how we got his name Oakenshield, I think that's a good flashback. It could be shorter if you want. We could edit around there. And then him saying like, oh, I killed Azog, having that knowing look between Gandalf and Balin work. And then the big reveal at the end, and then him fighting him during the Battle of the Five Armies. That's a good story for Thorin.
Right. And because we're condensing this into two movies, you want that like big sort of reveal. You want that moment to be bigger at the end of the first movie. And I even think like when we get his origin and stuff, like and maybe this is just my own personal preference, I don't need visual flashbacks for a lot of that stuff. Lean on like the amazing actors you have. Yeah. And just have them telling these moments. We don't need these epic battle visuals, personally. And I think that goes along with sort of, this is a story about Bilbo who has never seen the whole wider world, and he is now seeing it for the first time. So I want personally to feel that as a viewer as well. So if we're sitting in Bag End, I want to be in the dark as a viewer of the wonders of this world. So don't literally on screen show me this epic battle from the past. Just have Bilbo sort of, seeing it in his mind's eye, and us viewers were just seeing Thorin tell this. And then finally, when we get to Azog riding up on them with the wolves when they're in the trees, now is when we're seeing it when they've already been through all of this stuff. And okay, now we've reached a different point in Bilbo's journey, and we're finally seeing this as a viewer as well.
I think that's a good point also to something Ben said in a previous episode where we actually didn't get a CGI background and we got to see the actual New Zealand landscape and
Mm-hmm.
we really were robbed of a lot of the expanse of the Middle Earth world and luxuriating in the sights and like you said, Ben, living in it. And what a great, simple and kind of like staring you in the face, like what a great way to think about the movie is like let us be Bilbo, let us experience this, that a Hobbit hasn't done this yet, folks. and that's I've said this. I love that, you know, it makes a lot of sense for so many different reasons that Tolkien makes the Hobbits the central focus of both books, but it's the easiest way to help us learn about a culture we know nothing about too, is introducing them the way that they introduce.
Yeah. Like Bilbo, like they do such a good job of making Frodo and Sam and Pippin and Merry are the audience surrogate in Lord of the Rings.
Right.
But then in the Hobbit trilogy, it's just like, oh, you should. They go back and forth of like, you should know this, but then we're also going to over exposit a lot. Like I sent you guys that video from that YouTuber I can't think of it, like Cosmonaut Variety Hour. I like him. He did like, it was so funny. Like he just did why Lord of the Rings is great and then why The Hobbit sucks. And like he titles his videos very, because that's, you know, what you need to do on YouTube is title like, but he gives The Hobbit credit where it's due. But main thing, you know, we're talking about the entrance, like Bilbo's prologue is longer than Galadriel's with the Battle of the Last Alliance and the founding of the Ring and Gollum and all that. It's like almost double how long it is. And so it's just like, there's just that, even if you have Bilbo's prologue, if you want to keep it so bad, just cut it down. Like the fact that Galadriel can tell us 2,000 years worth of history in 8 minutes, and it takes Bilbo 17 to 20 minutes to tell us about Smaug and the dragon. Like, come on now, we can do better.
Right.
I mean, we forget Bilbo's in the movie half the time.
Yes.
That's a mistake. And I guess that's the biggest argument as to why we can't be the first group of people to suggest this on the internet, but why 2 movies works. And they were forced to make 3. And you just lose the protagonist. You lose who you're supposed to follow. We don't even have Gandalf for all that much of it. And Gandalf is sometimes our moral, you know, spine for the thing. So my opinion is, and I know it's jumping the gun a little bit, but I think we need to see them get captured in the first movie by the elves. And I think we need to get to Smaug at the end of the first movie if we're doing 2 movies.
You're insane.
Yeah,
you're insane. What's the second movie?
Cliffhanger? What's your guys' cliffhanger for this first movie? Because
Smaug's eye opening,
like because that's the thing is that they did such a good job of, you know, hey, the first movie's here. And, you know, but don't forget about the dragon. And then the whole marketing campaign of like, come see this dragon. It's amazing. This performance is amazing. And it worked. And then I know it doesn't work for the third movie, but marketing wise, that cliffhanger got people back in theaters and it made another $1 billion when that movie really shouldn't. It really shouldn't have made $1 billion, but it did. Yeah. But it's just like, so we do have to do a little bit of business thinking here. So what is your guys' cliffhanger for this first movie? What's going to get those butts back in seats next Christmas?
It's hard because there isn't a natural one in the middle of this story. I mean, I think like you could do the point at which, if we're keeping the whole Azog riding up on them after they escape, right, out of the frying pan into the fire, that could be. But that'd be kind of crazy, I think, to like end movie 1 on like right before they battle, you know, Thorin and Azog fight.
How does the first Lord of the Rings? How does the Lord of the Rings movie number 1 end?
With Sam and Frodo leaving the Shire, Boromir just died, and let's hunt some orc, which is so awesome.
Let's hunt some orc.
So it because like Boromir died, so like it hits a climax and then it kind of goes back down, and you're more left with questions, right? Like
so I think. Sorry to cut you off, but I think
Are you?
like no, but I think on the edge of Mirkwood, like on the edge of Mirkwood, Gandalf's about to depart. I think that might be, or like Gandalf says he's going, and it's a similar vibe then to Fellowship, where Gandalf's like, all right, I got other business to take care of. And then we just get a moment of like Bilbo looking into the forest of Mirkwood, and the dwarves like, oh no, our leader's just left. And they're like, well, here we go again.
So then let's look at the arc of what the first movie would be then. So we've cut the prologue. We've got, what did you have as your cliffhanger, Ben?
I was thinking about that. It's so hard to recapture that lightning in a bottle, because in the book, I mean, it's still a pretty good cliffhanger in the book, because Aragorn is just running towards the sound of Boromir's horn when the first book ends. Like, it doesn't
being angry that they killed Boromir in the first one. Yeah.
Like, and then, you know, Peter Jackson did such a good job, because like in the third book, Frodo and Sam don't really have much to do, so he put Shelob in the third movie. So it's so crazy thinking of like how well he reorganized this story to make it 3 amazing movies.
Right.
And so it is tough. Like, for me, it's like, I do think the post Azog Eagles moment is the perfect way to end that first movie, especially, you know, like, oh, I think the worst is behind us. But then you have so much left to cover. But if you do it like the book, where they meet Beorn, they get captured by the spiders, they get captured by the elves, they go to Lake Town. There's no Lake Town politics. I don't need that. Like, that can all be cut. But then you need to do the Desolation of Smaug and the Battle of Five Armies all in one movie.
But that's not a hard thing to do, I think, because like, if you look at the major beats, right? If you're ending that, and that's why I think they should end on the border of Mirkwood, because then you include Bjorn and that in the first movie. Mm-hmm. And honestly, Valda, you got to keep that. I don't think you cut that, but
you mean cut Bjorn?
Yeah.
No, you can't cut.
No, I think you keep that, but that's why I think you end there, because then it's like, okay, movie 2 is Mirkwood, the spiders getting captured, barrel riding, and then they just get to Lake Town. And again, we cut all the politics in Lake Town, so we don't have to deal with any of that. Then it's just the journey there and Smaug dying and the Battle of Five Armies. I don't think that's that much for one movie. I think that
sounds like so much. Now, I don't need the Battle of Five Armies to be the third movie like it is in this trilogy. Yeah. But also, like, it's tough for me to go strictly off of Tolkien's writing, because even if you look at the Battle of Helm's Deep, like I'm rereading Two Towers right now, it's nothing in the book. It's really nothing. And I'm okay with that. Yeah. It's very short. It's like maybe a chapter. And it's just like, oh, they attacked. Oh, we drove them back with arrows. And then they attacked again. And then the dawn came and we won. And that's it. And so I like in the movie that it's this huge night-long battle that, you know, and it's the same, like, it's a different, I can't remember the Rohan rider that comes to their rescue, but it's not Éomer.
Erkenbrand.
Yeah, thank you. But it's just so different. And so I do want to see, like, you have to have a battle. I do agree that you have to have some kind of action in this. I don't need Benny Hill, Smaug chasing the dwarves through Erebor or anything, and so that's the thing, is that, like, how much time do you leave for the Battle of Five Armies? And so I'm okay with Mirkwood being a good cutoff, but I go back and forth of, like, how much action do we need in these movies? Because even in Fellowship, quote unquote, the slowest of the 3, it is Last Alliance, concerning hobbits, then them being chased by the Nazgul, and then Bree, and then the ride to the river, and then a little bit of a break with Council of Elrond, and then the Mines of and then Caradhras, and then the Mines of Moria, and then a little bit of a break in Lorien, and then, you know, the Uruk-hai. So it's like there's a lot of action in the first Fellowship, and it's paced so well. So it's a tough call for sure.
God, that's such a good point, that there is so much activity in the first movie, and it's not boring, right?
Nope.
And it's not like, well, it's not on and on and on and on.
No, it's not like overstimulation either. Like it's done so well.
Well, and that's why I think like, and you have a similar setup for pacing that I think exists in our proposed second half, where you have Mirkwood, and obviously you can. I don't think they should do it exactly like it is in the book, where it's just them starving and trying to find food. You can maybe make that a little more exciting, but then we have this action set piece with the spiders, and then them getting captured, and then we have a little bit of a lull in the Elven Kingdom there with Thranduil, where, okay, they're kind of chilling, they're captured, but we get a lull in the action, and then we get the barrel riding and getting to Lake Town, and then we have another bit of action with Smaug, right? Smaug coming out and being killed. And then we have a lull there when they've taken Erebor. And then we get another bit of action. We can chill in Erebor for a little while and see what's going on there, and the setup with the elves coming in. And then we get another bit of action with the Battle of Five Armies. And then we end the movie. So I think it's like you have a similar up and down kind of pacing that I think could work. You know, you have a few big exciting moments, and the Battle of Five Armies, honestly, because I think about Helm's Deep. How long is that sequence? 20 minutes? 15 minutes of screen time?
It's tough to gauge because they keep cutting back between Merry and Pippin, but I'd have to say it's more than that. It's got to be at least like the last hour of the movie.
At Helm's Deep?
Maybe 45 minutes.
Okay.
Because like there's the big chunk of like the opening charge, and then, you know, like, oh, I'm at 2 already. By the way, that you need to invite me back onto the podcast for one conspiracy theory of how Legolas blew a 17-2 lead. That is like, I think I'm going to make a TikTok about that, because we keep, you know, we get a little bit of numbers here and there and everything like that. It is numerically, physically impossible that Gimli beats Legolas.
Let's add this to that issue. Sorry to cut you off, Alex. He beheads 1,000 orcs in this movie.
Yes.
So he's already coming.
Oh yeah, lifetime. No one's ever beating Legolas in orc kills.
How did he go decline? You know, from that kill.
We did see in this movie though, and I believe I'm trying to remember at what point in the Peter Jackson ones, he is prone to just running out of arrows. So, I mean, that kind of does put a little bit of a hitch in his. Also,
like, you know, they say the funny line of like the Oliphant and, you know, all the Haradrim on top of it only counts as one. He shoots that ladder off Helm's Deep and kills at least another 100 right there off that giant ladder. Does that only count as one? Because it shouldn't. It should not. He killed like, I'll be very light in my generosity and say he killed at least 40 on the ladder, let alone the people the ladder crushed.
No, they're using video game rules where you have to deal the last damage dealing hit to the enemy for it to add to your KD.
Them. He just didn't finish the kill.
They got killed by environmental damage.
Yeah, he got an assist. Yeah. We need a damage check. Where's the damage check with the stats at the end of Helm's Deep?
You're gonna set Tolkien talk on fire with this.
I'm just saying, like, I know. Because, like, sorry, this is such a derailment, and we all have hard outs. But just like 19-2 when we first cut away, like with the ladders and the berserkers on top of the wall. And then we see Gimli on top of the wall doing 17, 18, 19. So he's like, you know, we'll say 20, and I'll give Legolas 30 by that point. But it's just like, then Gimli, I think, you know, probably gets another big amount when he goes to Aragorn defending the bridge. But I'm just saying, like, Legolas does not run out of arrows, because the last time we cut, when they break down the gate after he rescues Aragorn and Gimli with the rope, he's firing up until the last moment we cut away.
Can we consider this, though? Can we consider this? That Gimli's a big old cheater.
That's tough.
No, you can't. We can't entertain that idea.
I don't think
he just wants to impress the guy that he wants to make his best friend forever, and he's like, I can't say that I got less kills than him.
That is also
inflate those numbers.
Like how people say, like, meat's back on the menu, boys. Like in the extended version, you know, he says, I'm sitting pretty on 43, and then Legolas shoots the corpse beneath him. He's like, oh, he was twitching. He's like, he's twitching because I've got my axe buried in his nervous system. Gimli, you know about the nervous system? You know about nerves and the cell bodies and proton? Like, okay, dwarves, I see you over there.
Yeah, they're very learned in the medical field.
Apparently,
little known fact.
But anyway, sorry to derail that
There's
entire
nothing
conversation.
to be sorry about. This is exactly the point. So what I'm trying to think about is, do we have an exciting and not dragging arc with just enough stuff in the first movie? If we cut out the prologue, we have all the dwarves coming, Gandalf and the dwarves eating all the food, picking up Bilbo, and then what's the first part? Where do they go? They go to
the farmer's house with the trolls.
Yep.
Right.
Keeping the trolls, absolutely, because that's where you find Sting, and they're in the Fellowship, so we need to have them. And I think
actually do it accurately to the book too, like make it a little bit more book accurate.
In what way?
Well, didn't Bilbo wasn't the one who saved them, and
I'm okay with that. I like that. I mean, granted, we're gonna have Bilbo do more than he does in this trilogy. We're not gonna have him disappear for the last 4 hours of this trilogy, but
yeah,
I'm okay with him being the smart one and distracting them, and saying, rather than Gandalf being this disembodied voice throughout the forest. I like the whole they've got parasites and stuff.
You'll be happy, Jess, because we're cutting out a Deus Ex Machina, which there are a few of in the Hobbit.
Fair.
So instead of it being a Gandalf Ex Machina, it's just no, Bilbo's clever, and then Gandalf comes in and helps.
I mean, with cutting down Battle of the Five Armies alone, we've cut out 9 last-minute saves.
True.
There's so many in that movie.
Yeah.
All right, so we have the trolls, and then we have them being
cut
chased.
out Radagast. Cut out
Radagast
Radagast entirely from these 2 movies. He doesn't need to be there.
Poor
I know.
Radagast.
I
actually really like the depiction. I understand he's superfluous, but I like his depiction. I'm just gonna say that.
Sure.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with that sentiment.
Thank you.
I think they make him a little too silly, personally. But anyway, he's not in the movies, so I'm fine with the being chased into Rivendell, I guess. I mean, it's obviously different from the book, but it's a movie. You got
a little sense of urgency never hurt anybody.
But and I think I would like it better if we don't have the Roscoble rabbits involved. It's just a regular chase, and I don't know. They somehow escape and make their way to the secret entrance to Imladris. And then they're just kind of, I would say, we get a little bit of Rivendell, and we cut out the homophobic jokes. We cut out the.
Yeah, I think the theatrical version of Rivendell is perfect. They arrive, they eat. He reads the map, they leave.
Yeah,
that's it.
Well, wait, is all the White Council stuff extended?
Oh no, yeah, sorry, White Council, but yeah. Just
we
with the dwarves, we're cutting the White Council. Yeah,
that's all cut. So yeah, we're in Rivendell for a little bit. And
have Galadriel whisper to Gandalf. Do you want to leave it up to Beorn on the borders of Mirkwood to say darkness is coming, you should do something about it for him to leave, or how do you want to?
Ooh, that's an interesting question because again, book Gandalf gives no reason and it doesn't matter. But I think in this. We could have a conversation between Beorn and Gandalf, and I think that gives a little bit more reason, or it gives a little bit more for Beorn to do besides just helping them on their journey.
And we could just have Gandalf be more aloof in this one, because that first conversation about good morning, he's very aloof. He's very just goofy and kind of sizing Bilbo up. So we could have both.
Yeah. Here's the thing: if we make it in Rivendell, then we have to include Galadriel in Rivendell, and I think as much as I would love to keep her,
she's in Lorien.
What's that?
She's in Lothlorien.
They don't go to Lorien.
No, in the movie, she's at Rivendell, right?
Yeah,
I know, but I'm saying just for audience, I wouldn't expect Galadriel to be at Rivendell,
right?
As,
I
someone
wouldn't
that
have either.
I know Elrond, as someone who loves the movies and have read the book and the Silmarillion, I wasn't expecting Galadriel to be there when they got to Rivendell. It's oh yeah, Elrond's there, and so is Brett McKenzie from Flight of the Conchords, but that's cool. But yeah, so I would be perfectly okay if she was not. I love, trust me, any more Galadriel or Cate Blanchett, no complaints.
Sadly,
ever.
She's getting cut though.
Sadly, she is getting cut, especially just simply for the love subplot that they give them. I don't. Yeah. Just for that as punishment enough.
Well, and look, Jess and I are rereading Lord of the Rings right now, and it just every time, because it happens so much, every time a character is just like, "Oh, Galadriel, she's so good." Because anytime they talk about Galadriel, it's just them fawning over her.
Oh, Gimli's the biggest fanboy. Like,
oh yeah,
I just read the part. I need to keep reading. Where it's just like Éomer's like, "Oh, I know we had our disagreements, but," he's like, "Yeah, but if you ever say anything bad about Galadriel, I'll kill you where you stand." I'm like, "Dang, Gimli is
I don't
ride or die."
Gimli loves rocks and Galadriel.
It's two.
Yep, that's all you need.
So is my boyfriend. So I agree. I think heading into Mirkwood, I think that's our cliffhanger.
I like it.
Yeah, me too. So we get into get to the second movie, and I'm gonna offer a thought. I think we can have a prologue here.
Oh wait, we still haven't, like, are we doing so after they leave Rivendell, are we doing the Stone Giants?
I'm moving ahead. Oh.
Yeah,
Stone Giants and Goblin King and all that stuff?
In this imagined,
but differently, probably.
In this imagined world where it's Guillermo, right? Doing the two movies, gotta have this.
I think it isn't necessarily Guillermo. I think we're just taking the best of the ideas. We're making our own two movies.
Okay, I think you keep the Stone Giants, but you don't make it this like action set piece. It's just look at a cool thing that's in the world, and we linger on it for a little while, and then, then keep them getting taken by the goblins into the mountain, and you have all that stuff still. What do we think about the Goblin King song? Are we keeping that?
That's the thing, is that the only song I need is the Misty Mountains Call. That's all I need. I need them to sing it like 9 times. That's where you do the editing. But I don't know if we keep the Goblin King song.
I think we have Stephen Fry as the Goblin King.
I like that. And
give him a song.
I think we keep the Black Crack song, which they sing as they're carrying them down, which I don't...
Which would make sense.
Yeah, but that whole, the Goblin King solo number... I think we don't need that.
No one needs it.
No one needs it.
And also, you can cut half his chin off and half his belly off and still have a grotesque character.
So we're saying in this two movie version, he's not as
no, he's just taken up a lot of I don't think they realized he added not only 15 pounds to the camera, they added 15 minutes to the camera. We didn't need.
But yeah, Riddles in the Dark is perfect, so you leave that as is.
Oh, perfect,
it's literally amazing. And, the moment that Bilbo spares Gollum works perfectly. And then we meet Azog and the Eagles come get us. And you really play up that Azog moment. I like Thorin going to face him and getting knocked out and, injured and stuff like that. I think him hugging Bilbo really works right there. I do think a big change, and we've talked about it throughout the trilogy, is Thorin being a better leader throughout. I don't know if we need the dragon sickness or anything like that, but we need something to happen where Thorin, turns his back on his own people or something. But I like Thorin less of a prick.
Do we still want to keep the Bilbo rushing in to fight the orcs moment? Because I think we take that out. I don't like that. I think just having it be a confrontation with Thorin and Azog, they fight, and then as it seems like Thorin's about to be defeated is when the eagle just swoops him up. And
because it's the same beat over twice, where because Azog doesn't even do is bring me back his head to one of his lackeys, and Bilbo kills one of his lackeys. Just have the eagles do that instead of Bilbo killing one of his lackeys, Bilbo gets knocked down, then the eagles come. And it's just have that one beat of the eagles swooping that dude off the mountain, and it's awesome. And have that amazing reaction shot of Martin Freeman being absolutely horrified by giant birds snatching wolves up and throwing them off a cliff.
I can't imagine any other reaction. That's the appropriate reaction to seeing that when you've never seen a bird that big before.
And that's a perfect audience surrogate moment. We've seen the eagles, but not much. We've seen them fight the Nazgul for 10 seconds in the third movie and rescuing Gandalf, but that's about it. Like we've never really seen them in full action, and that's a moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then they get dropped off and then make their way to Bjorn. I think we can spend a little more time there. I would love to see the serving dogs.
I'm so glad we didn't. I know, to your point, that it'd be really funny if they did it, but I'm so glad they did not.
Guess what? I'm also gonna say we should keep in the talking birds in the last movie.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with talking thrushes and the thrush going. I'm okay. I want the thrush to tell Bard of where the weak spot is on Smaug. I'm about that.
Yes.
Serving dogs, no.
Let it be like Lassie, where we just somehow intrinsically sort of understand the thrush.
Yeah, have them open a door or something like that. I don't know.
Or what if the thrush turns into R2-D2 and plays a little
yeah, Beorn's is actually the Scum and Villainy Cantina. That's a big change, and I don't know if we can get away with it, but
we're gonna go for it.
No droids at Beorn. Sorry, guys.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's why Gandalf is so hesitant to introduce the dwarves. He knows they have a strict no droid and no dwarf policy.
Yes, exactly. But no, I am the studio exec, Alex, and I am ixnaying the serving dogs from your vision.
Fine, as long as we get the talking ravens and everything.
Yes, absolutely.
And
I'm for that.
Okay.
I'm for Gandalf talking with Gwahir the Great Eagle afterwards, after they drop them off, for sure. I'm about it.
Have that conversation.
Literally, this would solve so much of we wish we could take you further, but the arrows of the men of Lake Town or something, just this one throwaway line that'll shut up everybody about why did they take the eagles to Mordor?
Yeah, it's what we need.
Yeah,
well,
we need shut down.
I'll
those
bring
trolls.
you on for that debate because I still don't understand every time Alex says that they can't. I know, I'm serious. I still don't. One day we'll have you on for the Eagles debate, Ben.
Well, they're playing next Sunday, so. And that's why I won't get invited back, everybody.
Strictly no sports talk on this program.
No
we
sports
told
talk.
you this in the pre-show prep, Ben. God.
I mean, hey, there's golf in Middle Earth. It's canon.
True. Hobbits invented it.
That's right. And Christmas. Or what is it? What's his face? Is this Kind is Christmas?
Yeah,
until
on Kind is Christmas. First edition.
So, right. So we get the Eagles dropping them off. They're talking to us. We go to Beorn.
Mm-hmm.
And then no talking dogs.
So yeah, keep the side conversation with Beorn and Gandalf, so we have a little bit of an idea. I like that, keeping we don't need a full on White Council action scene and Radagast and Gandalf going on side missions that we see, but I like keeping in hints of the connections to Lord of the Rings that weren't present in the original text. But for those viewers who are in the know, they go, "Oh, he's going to Dol Guldur now." But yeah, we don't need to see it.
What if something else does happen that doesn't involve Radagast or the White Council that's very serious and calls him to Dol Guldur? So that kind of creates that urgency that's at the end of the first movie that we were kind of talking about. I've got to go. No, I don't care what you guys say. Something to let us know that he's heading there. I don't have an idea as to how, but I'm inclined to say that we need to have something serious scare him and need to go. I guess Beorn could, have a come to Jesus with him, but I just don't know if that's enough.
I think Beorn telling Gandalf about the darkness that is coming and maybe it I've seen the Dol Guldur something, the spiders or something coming out of Mirkwood. I think that's good. And then for the dwarves, I think, just the ticking clock. Just Durin's day is coming up. We need to get through this forest and you need to stay on the path, all that stuff. And I don't know. I understand. I totally get what you mean because you do have that Frodo and Sam are striking out on their own. Aragorn and the triplets are, going after Merry and Pippin. You have that sense of urgency with both storylines. And it's a tough thing to replicate for sure. But I think Beorn doing it would be good. And then for the dwarves, it's just the ticking clock of we don't have time to dilly-dally in this forest.
Yeah.
Word. I think that sounds good. Who's singing the outro song?
Oh. Well, it was, hold on. Movie 1 was, no, Ed Sheeran was 2, right?
Ed Sheeran was 2.
I don't think they had one for 1.
Did they not have one in the first movie? I can't remember.
I think so.
I'll look it up. I would be very surprised if they didn't.
It doesn't. Was it the Misty Mountain reprise?
Oh yeah. So who's singing Misty Mountain's Call? Because I think that would be a good. Oh, you know what? Hosier singing Misty Mountains. Oh my gosh, yes, done and done.
Not
Nailed
Father
it.
John Misty.
Oh, there you go.
I was at Coachella. I'm sorry, and I met Father John Misty, and Hosier was playing, and he goes, "This fucking guy." Oh, sorry.
Oh, we almost did it, everybody.
Oh god, he basically called that. He basically was like, "This guy, he's a hipster." He was basically ragging on him, which is not cool, but I thought
Song
it was
of
really
the Lonely
cool at the
Mountain, and
time.
Ed Sheeran performed.
In movie 1?
Neil Finn performed An Unexpected Journey. Neil Finn, Song of the Lonely Mountain, and Ed Sheeran performed The Desolation of Smaug song.
Right. I think you still have the Desolation of Smaug song in the middle of the second movie.
Well, we just, okay, so the montage, I see fire. What is the montage that's happening when we have that? Do we just have it over Smaug destroying Lake Town and it's just Ed Sheeran playing? Or maybe he's like in universe, he's a bard in one of the bars in Lake Town and he's like, well,
like
we're all going to
Titanic.
die. Yeah,
Like,
exactly. He's going down.
Oh my god.
And he's still playing, I see fire.
And you see like the woman almost getting engulfed in flame.
Yeah, instead of Bard finding, the blanket with the history of the dwarves on it, he hears Ed Sheeran sing a Song of the Mountain.
Yes.
Like, it's
perfect, because that is how history and stories were preserved in those days, through bards.
Absolutely. Like, I mean,
that's why his
toss
name
a coin
Bard.
to your Witcher, banger.
Exactly.
Ed Sheeran, banger. We did it.
Yep. So that's how we're gonna have the action sequence of Smaug destroying Lake Town is with in-universe Ed Sheeran. Amazing. I love it.
I mean, to be fair, Ed Sheeran's haunting vocals over Smaug silently destroying a town, like, that works. It works.
I think I would really like to know what your definition of haunting is.
I'm sorry, when he says "What have we done?" and Ed Sheeran's like a cappella vocals come through, it gives you chill. He's no Annie Lennox.
That's not haunting. It's basically crooning for acoustic guitar. He's sugar. he's confectionery.
Then make it haunting, Jess.
It's the juxtaposition that's haunting, Jess.
Exactly.
That makes you laugh. Is what
of the sweet vocals with this horrific imagery, and it sticks with you.
No, it makes me want to. It's too much cotton candy.
No, but it's sour cotton candy.
He's just
that's right. Lemon lime cotton candy.
I'd eat that. Thank you. That sounds delicious. I just, people like Michael Bublé. More power to them. And I feel like Ed Sheeran is like the Michael Bublé of that genre, and so it's
Michael Bublé and Ed Sheeran are so different, though.
No, they're not.
Like, I don't want to hear Santa
like
Buddy while freaking Smaug is destroying the town.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like of the genre that's.
And I'm feeling good. As Thorn is looking for the Arkenstone, ban it.
Wait, to Ed Sheeran really
as the birds come back, birds in the sky, you know how I feel.
There we go.
See, I can make anything work.
Wait, can we get Michael Bublé to come and
as
do
Thorin?
No. As the voice actor for the King of the Ravens. And then he sings that song too. We're making this into a musical.
Gwahir the Great Eagle.
Oh yeah, he can be Gwahir. Yeah, there you go. Birds in the sky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
As the Eagles come and rescue Bill, and I'm feeling swoosh good.
Guys, I don't know why they didn't do this. Why did they make 3 movies when they had this?
To us?
It was right there. It was right there.
Great. So you have tricklings of that song playing in the beginning of movie 2.
Absolutely.
Just
for
to
sure.
remind you how we left off. And maybe you still keep in... Oh, no, I don't know if you keep in... You don't keep Gandalf finding Thorin. But maybe you figure
Thrain.
out why... What?
Thrain?
No. I'm talking about the prologue of
the prologue,
movie
sorry.
2. So when we see Gandalf intercept... So, like, we're just getting into movie 2 right now. It's happening.
Yeah,
movie 2, here we go.
I don't think you need a prologue for movie 2.
But I kind of liked it. I liked the history. I liked giving us a little bit of a background, so we didn't need to luxuriate and figure out certain things. It's actually one of the rare times that they truncated things pretty well, I thought, and just dropped us into the movie. But I think now that based off of what we've done so far, we've changed Gandalf's motivation to be involved with the trip. If he doesn't know that the necromancer's abounding until he gets to Beorn.
Okay, so what are you thinking for the prologue for the second movie? I'm trying to think as you're talking of like.
But
what
you know
I
what
would
I'm
wanna
saying,
see.
right? Like if we've cut out the White Council, and the first time he's hearing is that something weird is going on in Dol Guldur, he's cut out the reason Peter Jackson has created for.
Do you think the
Gandalf
White
to be
Council would
involved.
be a good prologue?
Here's what I'm thinking, though. I get what you're saying, Jess, but I'm thinking
serving dogs as the prequel to the second.
Right.
Just hear me out.
They walk on two legs. I don't think we need an explanation. Like, I think in this version, Gandalf, and again, we haven't talked about like changing characterizations too much, a little bit with Thorin, but like I think we make Gandalf, as Ben said before, that more aloof, just kind of like you don't know what he's gonna do. Like we don't need to know exactly why he's leaving. I don't think we need an explanation. I don't think we need a prologue setting that up. I think it can just happen. That's what happens in the book, and it's just like, okay, fine. I don't think we need all of these things to make sense. It's a fantasy story. I think it's fine. And again, the only reason I think we have that Bjorn moment is just, again, a little wink and a nod to those who like know about Dol Guldur. I don't think we ever say the name Dol Guldur in any of these two movies. Like, we don't need it. It has nothing to do with the Hobbit story. So I think it's just a little Easter egg, and that's fine, personally. So, I mean, we could have a prologue, but then it's like, okay, how much time are we going to invest in this thread? Because if we have a prologue to a movie that is just there to answer one tiny little thing about Gandalf, then why have the prologue?
Well, no, wasn't the prologue? Didn't we have a couple different flashbacks that we could use instead of cutting them up, put them at the front? We had like the flashback to. I'm just like saying, giving some background
like
to
the battle flashback, or
yeah. Well,
then
give some
the
background
other
to
one,
what the Misty Mountain, the Lonely Mountain used to be for the dwarves. What
Ooh,
Lake Town used to be.
I could do with that. I could do with like kind of a little bit of Bilbo's thing of just like the day it happened. Still not show Smaug, but just like the day it all went down, like seeing the prosperity of Dale and Erebor.
That could be good, like as a maybe not necessarily, because I think personally even the hints at Smaug's destruction, I think the first time we see Smaug and what he can do should be when we actually see him, because I think that makes it more impactful. But I do like that of like just the glory days of Erebor. Mm-hmm. It's Thorin talking, and then it's like then we cut back to like Thorin and Bilbo talking, and it's them kind of bonding over this.
Yeah, a little bit of like Thorin's like, way like see him, leaving, see the elves maybe turn their back. Maybe not in the same way, but like it will show you Thorin's resentment towards elves, like in general, and then like
and that
him working
foreshadows
as like a blacksmith, like him taking odd jobs throughout Middle Earth and like just trying to survive and with his people, and
that does set up the elves that we're about to see as they go into Mirkwood.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that. That's a good one, Jess. I like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm okay. All right, so then we jump into
a ringing endorsement.
It has a ring of truth to it.
That's Jess's email byline. Jessica Verdi. Sometimes I'm okay.
I'm okay. Sometimes. It's true. It's how I feel. That's where my mind is. My emotional state is at. All right. So we get that. I love that. And here's my pitch a little bit for Mirkwood. I think you're right, Alex, that we don't need we have no food or whatever. But I still think we can get like some hauntings of the like some of the bacchanalia of the Elfwoods.
Nice word.
Yeah, I know. The wood elves, like, kind of get a sense like they're just a little unhinged that way.
Yeah, we should see. And again, I'm thinking Guillermo, so it's just going to be like the like as you said, bacchanal horrific overindulgence, right? Of just like them feasting in the woods. Mm-hmm. And I do like I want to see them feasting in the woods and the lights turning off and them disappearing to lend to this magical quality of the elves. But it should be just these like lavishly sick parties that they're having.
See, I think it can be. I think that's why there's a missed opportunity. You have them in Mirkwood and they're basically on mushrooms, for lack of a better word. Like they're all experiencing this dysphoria, right? Or is that the right word? Dysphoria?
Sure.
Whatever. They're not experiencing reality in the same way as we do, and give us glimpses of like some weird like Zelda stuff where every time you turn the corner in Kokiri Forest, you're like, where are they?
Hey, and listen.
Yeah, and then they end up in the wrong part, you know, you just have to listen for the music. But I think other than that, I think Mirkwood needs to be like almost pitch black dark.
Yes. I like that. And like it was almost, that's kind of one of my biggest complaints about Lord of the Rings is that like they didn't make Mordor dark enough. They didn't make the shadow dark enough. Like for me, like in my and you know, nothing lives up to your own imagination, and that's totally fair. But just like I was like, man, there's supposed to be shadow everywhere, and like they didn't. That was like the one visual thing. If I could nitpick those perfect movies, like that's like the one visual thing. I was like, Mordor never felt dark enough for me, or like the lands. While in all of Return of the King, like when the movie opens, he's like, oh, it's almost dark. He's like, it's always dark around here. I'm like, it doesn't look that dark. I'm just saying, but yeah, I want like. I'm with. It doesn't have to be Guillermo del Toro, but I'll just say that it is because I want him to do it. I want to, like, this is where Guillermo needs to flex his muscles of horror. Yeah. Like having the spiders come in. And, like, I think the spiders in these movies are great and terrifying. But, like, I want to see, like, just ooze dripping off their fangs. And I want to hear them talk in their dark speech and all that. And then, you know, naming Sting. And then I want to hear, like, like, we got to have elves be beautiful. But, like, all of them need to be Lee Pace. All of them. They all need to be like beautiful, but haunting and cold and unforgiving, but like self preservation and like not caring about anybody. They need to be like high and mighty and just look down on our main characters at all times. I need all that. Like Mirkwood, you got to kick
scary.
Off your movie. They need to be scary. They need to be intimidating for sure.
I agree. And then the spiders show up, like you get hints of the spiders the whole time.
Yes,
spiders wrap. You know what I mean? Like, I think we're on the same page. So the spiders, you know, eat up our little dwarf boys. Hobbits.
We cut the baby spider scene with Bilbo.
Oh God, 100%.
Yeah, don't need that. Oh. Don't need all the ring corruption subplot. Hate it.
No,
just need to
and in this movie, he's wearing the crap out of the ring.
Yes, like he's just he's on God mode the whole time.
Yeah, he really is. He's wearing the ring the whole time. Like I don't need that. Because for me, that was kind of the point of Fellowship when Bilbo put it on, is that Sauron was so powerful. Like you could not use this anymore, because like. I don't know. It is like 20 years between Bilbo giving Frodo the ring and going to Rivendell. In the books, they don't show that passage of time too well in the movies. Like it feels like, you know, maybe a month. But to me, I always like, so why didn't Bilbo see the Eye of Sauron like when he put it on like at his birthday party? But I'll give it the 20 years. I'll give it that grace. But just like I want to see Bilbo be an invisible little like rapscallion. Like that's an invisible little burglar. That's what he's there to do, and I want to see him. You can show the passage of time like of him like seeing when they get captured by the elves, like him learning the trade routes, them learning the guards, rotation, where the keys are, what night this big old shindig is going to be on, how drunk they're going to get. I want to see that Ocean's 11 in the middle of this Hobbit movie.
Yes,
and you can learn why Thranduil is pissed at the Hobbit,
right.
at the dwarves. Like, this is actually, let's actually have character growth here.
Right.
And
yeah.
I have a serious question, but I do want to. I'm going to ask this question first. Tariel.
Yes.
Is she still here?
Yes.
No, she gone.
Yep. Oh, nope. She's in my movie. She doesn't have a stupid love triangle, but her and Legolas are in this movie, and they're still kicking butt.
Okay. Hear me out. Because I like what you just said about, okay, we're going to have this heist in the middle, and Bilbo's going to be doing it. That's going to be our runtime in Mirkwood, and we're not going to have time to introduce these new characters.
Nah, fam. She's there.
So the thing I was going to say, when you were talking about how Bilbo's wearing the ring all the time, I didn't even think about it until this moment. He's like the definition of fake it till you make it. He feels like he has no business in being on this trip. And it's not till the ring he's like, oh wait, I could be wily, I could get away with some
little
stuff.
squirrely boy.
Yeah. Oh, look at all these things I couldn't even dream of. But then as the movie goes on, and as the book goes on, he becomes more bold without the ring, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like him taking off the ring and being like, "What's up, Smaug? I'm taking this cup." Peace.
We do disagree. Oh, he does. That's right. So he does the end of the book.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were talking about when the corruption made him take off the ring in the movie.
No. Like, because he takes the cup when he's invisible, and then right before he leaves the second time, he's like, "Peace."
He like Rumpelstiltskin's it.
Yeah, he really does.
Well, and just being able to be bold enough to like go up to the elf king that you screwed over and be like, here's the
still the best line read on the planet. There's 2 line reads that are now.
Yes.
We're keeping yes. This is so non sequitorial, but I actually can't get over the brilliance of this one line read. Are you guys familiar with Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, so Francis is his antagonist who wants the bike, and the bike's missing, and he's at the police, and he goes, "Well, who has any, motivation to take the bike?" He goes, "Well, Francis really loved it." Francis, and he just completely out of nowhere drops 3 octaves and turns into like a murderous snake. It's insane. So that's up there. Yesh and Francis. Yeah, it's so good. So Tariel,
I don't know. She's probably gone, and I'm okay with it. I do love Evangeline Lilly.
Time. You probably can't keep her for time, especially if she wasn't in the first movie.
Here,
I am okay keeping Legolas in this movie.
Tell you what, Ben. Toriel is still in the movie, but she's just like a featured background elf in the battle, and it's just Thranduil going, "Toriel, blah blah blah," and like she gets like one moment.
And she's that guy in the charge of in front of the Black Gate. If you guys watch that charge again, there's a guy that runs super fast.
Yeah.
And he's like right in the front, and I'm like, this dude is flying. Like, this guy was like, I'm really fast and I'm an extra. This is my moment. And he just like, he's got an axe in one hand and a shield in another, and this dude runs a 4.240. Like, I want to time him at a combine right now with full armor on. Because, like, I don't know if he survived, because he probably got there like a solid 10 seconds before everybody else did. He was like, "Oh no, I'm surrounded." But that's who Toriel is going to be, is just a really fast elf that's badass, that we're like, oh, that was a cool like cutaway. Like, you see Legolas killing the spiders, and then you see Toriel, like, good job, Toriel, and that's it. And that's cool. Yep. And that's Stephen Colbert's cameo. He's Toriel in this movie.
Oh
there you
God,
go.
yes. Or what if he's like Thranduil's younger brother?
Yeah, I will say, instead of Brett McKenzie, I think I'm going to put Stephen Colbert as Lynn Deer in this movie.
I understand.
Or in the first movie.
I understand why you put Brett McKenzie in it, though, because it basically it kicked off a whole subset of lore.
But he was already Figwit. He already had his.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's weird. I guess we didn't talk about this. That's the kind of inconsistency that pisses me off. It's not like, here he is looking a little different. You're a different elf, but you're the same person.
I don't think it could be the same elf, though, right?
No, like I
it's
think
not because he comes with
you know,
Legolas. Oh wait.
I think on at least on like the wiki, I think his name is Figwit in Lord of the Rings, and is Lindir in Hobbit.
That's a fan given name, which is an acronym for Frodo's great. Who is that? When fans saw Brett McKenzie, and they're like, "Oh, who's this guy?" So I think there's like a whole documentary. So
okay.
I think in the credits he doesn't have a name. He's just like a background elf or something.
I'm just saying he already got his one cameo. Congratulations, Stephen Colbert is going to be Lindir in this movie.
Yeah, that's fair. Totally fair.
Yeah, give him some lines as opposed to just an eye patch flip.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like I wouldn't be distracted by it. I'm like, oh, you know what? That's nice. He's a big fan. Totally.
Yeah. So no dwarf romance subplot for Toriel, just a badass elf. So we're at Mirkwood. We get the heist sequence that ends with the barrel riding. That's no longer an action set piece, I think, in this version because we don't have the time.
Heart. We don't have the time at all, but it really does break my heart because I genuinely do love the barrel sequence. It is so fun for me. Yeah. But I get it. I am reluctantly Sophie's choicing it away.
Yeah. And it makes sense because we don't need then like the Toriel motivation or the, all that. Yeah. We don't need that whole orc chase in there because of plot reasons either. So it's fine. We just have a cool little, maybe a short little action-y type thing, but not a 15-minute long thing. Yep. And then they get down, meet Bard. That's all kind of the same. But we don't need them to be snuck into Lake Town. They can just show up because we don't have any of the politics, right?
No, I'm good with that. Like, yeah. I'm wondering how we get to know Bard a little bit because I love Luke Evans in this, and I want him to be like a bigger character than he is in the book. But I don't know if we have time again because, like, I don't know like if we have time. But I really do love Luke Evans. So, however you guys want to do it, I'd be okay with.
I think, it is a thing of like he's such a small part in the book. I mean, we get like a little bit of history of him, but we never really get to know him. I mean, honestly, I think we just have to kind of.
We just gotta move.
Yeah, we can't really get to know him too much. I mean, we can have them like maybe have that conversation about the history of his family or something. Like Smaug comes up, and then they talk about it like on the way to Lake Town or something, but. Yeah, we're not going to have a whole movie's worth of subterfuge to learn about this rapscallion as he is in the Peter Jackson ones. So
yeah,
but I think that's a fair thing to give up for economy of story and cutting out some terrible things.
And that's the thing is that, people always, do like the page count of this book that's like, 150 pages, but there's so much you can do with this story that I think it easily, like we're having trouble like doing 2 movies and like where to cut and what to cut. And so that it does like go into like, I know these movies are looked down upon and not too heartily loved, like at least, the first trilogy is, but they besides some obvious stretching and Battle of Five Armies being an entire movie, like we are having trouble cutting some stuff here, and like characters that may not be the best, but we enjoyed seeing them on screen. Like Bard especially. Like I'm a sucker for Toriel, but Bard especially. That like they didn't do the best job of us getting to know him, but I do think he should be a big character than he is in the book. Like not a substitute for a main character again, sidelining Bilbo in any way, but just like, no, I want to get to know like the leader of men and like the guy who takes down Smaug. I think that's an important character.
Yeah. And that is just the problem of how do you get there? And
yeah,
I think what they did in the Peter Jackson movies to get there was greatly change a lot of the dynamics of Lake Town and of Bard's character. So I don't personally think it was worth that alteration to just get to spend time with the character because ultimately what we get, I think, is bad. So sure, we got to spend time with him, but did we then really like the time we spent with him?
Yeah. No, I agree. It is tough, and like this is where like I do look. I'm aware I'm looking at these movies through rose-colored glasses, and I'm okay with that. But so we go through Lake Town. We get to know Bard a little bit. Maybe we have like the Girion flashback. We don't need the dwarvish windlance, but we could have just like a little moment of like his ancestor trying to take down Smaug, and just like that could be his backstory. Is that like he always like not quite the Isildur like mirror, but like a little bit of it, just like a little bit of like, people do love me in this town, but there's always that one thing that like I should have been the ancestor of this great person, but I'm the ancestor of a person who failed, because like in Middle Earth, most things are looked at in very black and white terms.
I think
like
he's the Faramir of this story. I really do.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot, Jess. That's good.
I think if we look at him as like sort of aspirational, I mean, they did Faramir dirty in the movies, but you don't give him as much of an opportunity. Listen, guys, what I really want to know, are we keeping the ball gobbling?
Yes.
It's the one thing.
In fact, we're increasing it. All 14 members of the company are going to gobble some balls.
Yeah, and two balls each, not just one.
Yeah.
Got it. And that's how they get out of the what else?
That's how they defeat Smaug.
Oh,
yeah, actually.
Okay, great. Cool.
That's his weak point.
Go for the balls.
Go for the balls.
Right. That's his left nut. So yeah, I think we're looking at. I like the idea of it, finding the right way to increase Bard's involvement in the movie, and I think it's just by making sure his motivation's appropriate. You know.
Mm-hmm. And I do like that idea that you had, Ben, of sort of make it I got to live up to what my legacy should be.
Yeah.
And we can just have him explain that, as opposed to in the book, the narrator going, and this is Bard, the ancestor of Girion. Like, have Bard open up to the dwarves about that, and
use these actors.
Yeah. And then we can,
right.
Exactly. Right. And then we can have a moment of connection between like Thorin and Bard, about like, oh, well, I'm going to like reclaim my ancestral home and,
they
sort
connect.
of avenge my father.
Yeah, instead of like them being like adversaries and him being like, no, don't do this. Like, you could have a little bit of that of like, hey, don't wake up the dragon or something. But like, they do share this connection. And so like, there's this, understanding between, these two leaders of their people.
Or build the issue where Bard should come with them, right? But he won't leave his kids behind, because they end up becoming enemies, with the battle anyway. Not enemies, but like.
But I feel like that's why they should bond a little bit, because I think the betrayal later will be harsher.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a very good point. God, who would have thought to let actors actually have dialogue?
Right? Who knew?
No CGI action.
So our boys go off. There's no poison leg happening.
No, nope.
So
all 13 dwarves go.
Right? And are they chasing, or do we see them? Do we get the sweeping going to Lonely Mountain? Or
I think there's a little bit of a ticking clock, not too much to where like they don't leave after 30 seconds of trying to find the key. Right. I think at the last moment, like they remember, like, oh yeah, the last light is the moonlight. I like that. I like that beat. I think that's good. But then we get all the Benedict Cumberbatch Smaug stuff, and I like that it's only one interaction. We don't need Bilbo going back and forth, like grab a cup, come back. But then I think immediately when he, erupts and blows up, he goes straight to Lake Town.
Yep. No weird action set piece scenario.
Yeah, no smelting of a gold statue. He goes straight to Lake Town, starts burning it down. He dies.
We get the Ed Sheeran song.
We get the Ed Sheeran song while it's silent, while he silently burns down Lake Town.
You're saying
thrush.
We're gonna forego gold Smaug. We're not gonna.
Yes.
It pains me, Jess. These are the cuts we have to make. These are the cuts we have to make.
I think you guys are forgetting how much more time we have in this movie than if we cut out like literally an hour and a half of the battle.
Okay, so how far do you think? I think we're an hour and a half in by the time they meet Smaug, because we go through Mirkwood, we do the elves, we do Lake Town, and then we finally get to the mountain. I think that's at the minimum an hour 15.
You're You're right. We're dragging it.
And then I want a solid 15 minutes of Smaug action.
100%.
Yeah. And then
I just
then
don't
we
want
got
to. Yeah, I don't want to cheap out on that. I like that Bilbo goes and then comes back, and so I want that. I want more of what happens in the book. Like Bilbo goes and kind of like teases him and comes back, and then all the there could be more of that as opposed to
I think?
Chasing him.
Instead of the gold Smaug, that moment where they're crossing the bridge in Erebor and the gold coins are following, we do that at Lake Town, like. Where
it starts raining gold coins and
just
they're like
slow,
what is that?
Like they're dropping and then they're like plop 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 in the water all around Lake Town, and then one falls on the dock and they're like, what's this? And because I like that he can move, like he's like still like high up in the air, like they hear like the rumblings from the mountain but they don't quite know what it is. And then they like plop, plop, plop. That's how, the attack starts. And then he's like, oh, a coin? Where did this come from? And then the first vroom right over, like his first like low flyby. And then just like chaos ensues.
That's cool. I like that.
I'm down.
Because, that is probably the one cool moment of, well, there's other cool moments, but that's the coolest moment of the action thing in Erebor. So keep retaining some of that, the spirit of that I like.
Exactly. And like you can play it, that's where Guillermo comes in. Like I want this to be horrific and like not like you don't need to go like R-rated or anything like that, but just like truly scary. Like we have heard about for, a movie and a half now about how terrible this dragon is. Now it's time to show it.
It's funny that you say that. I've not seen Shin Godzilla, but someone shared Shin Godzilla's atomic breath and destroying the city, and it was chilling and empathetic, and there was like pain in Godzilla. Like you can.
I hear Shin Godzilla is really good.
It looks great. This moment is sick. And I actually feel bad for Godzilla. It's a very interesting thing. And you can live in the destruction of it all so that we can see. Alex, are you looking at me because you love me, or you're like, I don't understand?
I don't know what Shin Godzilla is.
Okay, great. Anyway.
It was one of the last Toho Godzilla movies, I'm pretty sure. It's like it came out a while ago, like within this century,
in the last
though.
10 years, right?
Yeah, 10 years. And I've been meaning to watch it. It's been on my list for so long, and I hear nothing but amazing things about it.
We should do a community night. Maybe it just I'll get everyone in and watch it because it actually piqued my interest more. I used to like Mothra and stuff as a kid, but this piques my interest more than I ever have. I like Cloverfield too, but I also had no idea what Clover was going to turn into, so it was actually a nightmare for me.
Oh yeah.
It took me for a loop, which was there's a good payoff. Anyway, I digress. Smaug is dead.
Smaug is dead.
Well, so the killing of Smaug, as Ben said, no dwarvish windlance, no look at me, son. It's just Bard being a badass, living up to his legacy.
I want him sleeveless. I want Luke Evans sleeveless. Like I want him like possibly shirtless because maybe he got woken up out of bed in the middle of the night, and I just want him just like just Alexander Skarsgård level of ripped. Just like if anyone has seen The Northman, like that final scene in The Northman where they're both basically fighting naked in hell between each other. That's how I want Bard fighting Smaug. Like you can have pants on. I'll give you that. Gosh, twist my arm, put pants on Luke Evans if I have to. But just have him just like old school, like Renaissance painting, like amazing action shot right through the heart of Smaug with the black arrow.
100%.
Yeah. And I do want to see the thrush tell him about the weakness as well.
Yes. We get actual talking birds.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Thank God.
Do we get the Smaug landing on the master?
I think we get Smaug destroying Lake Town by I don't have the master in my movie.
Got it. Yeah, we don't need it. We really don't.
But I do have Smaug landing on Lake Town, destroying it, giving people a reason to move into Dale and giving them like, oh, hey, we need this gold because our town is destroyed.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, word.
Makes sense.
I do have the men having a bit more of an army, like whether like a different city comes to help Lake Town or something like that. Like oh, the men of Gondor, throw that in there. I don't care. Like,
or like
they have an actual army.
The evacuation could have been a little bit better. And they ended up with some people. And, Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, Thorin told Bard where they're going. So he's like, you know what? We're going to have a contingency plan here. Yeah.
So it's not just a makeshift militia.
Yeah, with pitchforks. Like, I need them to have an army in the Battle of the Five Armies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the boys, Smaug is dead.
Mm-hmm.
The Ravens go to tell everybody.
Yes, talking Raven King, voiced by
Ed Sheeran.
Who do we say? No, Michael Bublé.
Yes, Michael Bublé.
Michael Bublé voicing him.
Smaug is dead.
Yeah, they go tell everybody, and Dane in particular.
Smaugy buddy. There's a meme I saw this year. It's like, I hate Michael Bublé's version, like saying Santa Buddy instead of Santa Baby, as if you're too good to hook up with Santa, Michael Bublé, you prude.
That's such a good call.
We'd all F Santa. We'd all do it if given.
I definitely G-rated the meme, and I'll tell you guys the real version after.
I think we got it.
Yeah.
But that's just an astute person right there with that.
Exactly.
Meme. So the Ravens know, and then what? So does Thranduil? When does Thranduil show up? What's happening next?
Well, so in the book, it's pretty much similar, where they just all hear about Smaug biting the dust, and everybody comes to the mountain to be like, hey, what's the deal with this gold? So I think keep that. They all show up. We see Thranduil. We see Bard arrive with his army. And we get some parlaying, cut the dragon sickness, and the emphasis on the Arkenstone idea, I think. So we didn't talk about this, but like in the Jackson version, the reason Bilbo goes in there is for the Arkenstone. I think you don't do that. I think you just keep it as it was, where he steals a vase or whatever, a cup, whatever it is.
I disagree. I like the Arkenstone. I don't think it needs to be like,
okay.
I like the like, we need this, like, because it's been a while since the dwarves have had a king, so I do feel like Thorin needs that symbol of dwarvish like hierarchy and royalty to unite his people, and I like that. And I think that like Bilbo stealing that and giving it to Thranduil to try and calm the inner voices of everybody is a good thing too. And then we get the yish line.
True. Yeah.
Yish. We can't.
But I would say cut the stuff with the dragon sickness.
Oh, I agree.
Coming from the Arkenstone. Yeah. But yeah, okay. We keep the Arkenstone being that thing, because it does make sense. And
I think it gives an audience an easy like, oh, he needs this to show that he's the true king. Like, yeah, you can kill a dragon, but like that, and that's why there's so like. Because it harkens back to like why only 13 dwarves or 12 other dwarves are falling on this quest, because otherwise like he would have the whole dwarvish people behind him on this. Let's all retake Erebor. I'm the rightful heir. It's like, where's the Arkenstone? Like,
right. Makes sense.
It's like the Darksaber for the Mandalores. This Star Wars.
Oh, okay. Over my head.
Are they Mandalores or Mandalorians?
Yeah, like the planet is Mandalore.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So much Star Wars.
Yeah, the Darksaber has to be won by combat, and whoever has the Darksaber leads Mandalorian people.
It's the Mandalore. Ah.
Sounds too nerdy for me.
I feel like there's a Rick and Morty episode about that, where you have to like kill the next person. Oh, no. It was Futurama.
Yes, it was Futurama, yes.
The leader is the one who killed the other leader.
Yeah.
It's like season 1. All right.
Futurama was so good.
It's so good.
All right, we're running out of time though, so we gotta hurry.
We sure are. So carry us home.
We get the parlaying between the different armies. We get same thing, Bilbo going, and I like keeping the Beaufort moment, as opposed to him just sneaking out.
Mm-hmm.
He sneaks out. We get the yish, gives over the Arkenstone, meets up with Gandalf there. And again, we don't have that warning him thing about going back. He just lets him go back because there is no dragon sickness for him to be concerned about. Although he would maybe still be concerned about, Thorin finding out about what he did. But
I thought it was like the impending war. I always felt like Gandalf was just scared for him to be in war but I guess not. He'd already survived a bunch of stuff up to this point.
Yeah, he's the reason that the company was there in the first place.
I'm just gonna retract that statement.
I think I think you're right though. I think it is Gandalf just being concerned, and because in the Jackson version, he knows about like this is the forces of Sauron. This is not just like a band of orcs or whatever. That are coming. So we just get him leaving. There's no Alfred doesn't even exist, so we don't have to worry about that. And then he goes back, and then we have the parlaying, which is a little bit. It's still going to be tense, but it's less. We don't have the dragon sickness element, so I think it's going to be a little bit more straightforward. I like keep the visual of that hole in the wall. That's kind of a cool idea. And then we get, he basically tells them, no, we're going to stay here because they know Dane's coming. And then I think so. We don't have the any blood spilt until the orcs show up.
Yep.
Cut the elves and the dwarves fighting. It sucks. It's terrible. I don't like it. So we have these three armies.
That's extended, but we all,
Yeah.
Oh, that was only in the extended. Well, still,
it's only extended. Like in the theatrical, like he's like, oh, let's give these elvish guys some guff, and then the werewolves show up.
Okay, so yeah, basically do it like the theatrical cut then. And then we have, here's the thing, because if I'm recalling correctly, it's Gandalf who stops them.
Yeah.
Right in the book. Do we want to keep that, or do we want to have the werewolves? Is the thing?
I like the werewolves showing up. Like,
yeah,
I like that. Like just a grand entrance with these creatures we've never seen before.
Yeah,
and I don't need to explain like, oh, why don't they join the battle? I don't care. They look cool.
They do. And again, if we're imagining a Guillermo world, then they would be some creepy worms. So
yes, they would.
I'm all for that. And then we get the battle, and there's none of this Raven Hill. I think we make the battle much shorter and just have a couple cool things. We don't need like so much action. We don't need so many set pieces in this battle.
We could have more of a Helm's Deep, but it's again the emotional toil of things.
Yeah,
seeing the loss that way.
I think so. I'm okay. I think we get to Ravenhill. If we keep Ravenhill, I think we get to it faster.
Right.
Because like I think cutting off, killing Azog, because Azog's still in my movie, and he's in the book too. Like I think he's up there. We got to cut the head off the snake.
For sure.
We don't need 45 minutes before we do that. But I think that's like a good hey, big boss is up here, away from all the kerfuffle. Well, let's go up there.
And here's the thing. The other thing that will help with that is because we're cutting out the dragon sickness, Thorin and company just join the battle.
Yep.
Exactly. Dane shows up and they're like, great, let's go. There's none of this.
How the book would have us think.
Yeah. So that will cut out so much of the action in terms of the time and trim the fat. And then it's like,
I do want to see the gold lake though. I'm saying
we can just have a gold floor.
Yeah.
Everyone can just have a gold floor.
I know how I'm going to live as an adult now. If I ever get to grow up, I want a gold.
You and MC Hammer, man.
Does he have one of those?
I don't know. He had he went broke, so I'm sure he had a lot of extravagances.
He needed it to go with his gold pants,
It's true.
I understood. So they get to the battle. We Azog and Bolg. They get bulged up.
No, I don't think we have Bolg.
We don't have Bolg.
I think there's no Bolg. We don't need Bolg.
Is Bolg not part of the book? He's not part of the book.
No.
I think. Wait, is it Bolg or is it Azog? That's like the leader of the orcs at the end. I thought it was Bolg.
No, yeah, Bolg is the name of the orc. I think leading the orcish armies, and then Azog, because Azog is the leader during the dwarf goblin war.
Yeah.
So that's why they have him here to sort of connect back to that. So they kind of I don't think Azog and Bolg are necessarily related in the books. I could be wrong on this. I don't know the lineage of orcs and stuff. I mean, yeah, roll them into one character maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need two separate characters. I think.
I'm agreed with that. Yeah. I'm okay with it.
Again, and it just gives, because then we don't need like, oh, we got to kill both Azog and Bolg. Like, no, just have it be one epic confrontation.
But who's Legolas gonna fight?
He's not in our movie.
Dang it! He takes so much from me.
I know.
He can, you know what though? Fight the orcs. It's
You're
fine.
a good sharer. You must have done really good in kindergarten because you're like, all right, like you had to get like tattled on once, but then you'd like give up the red truck, you know.
Exactly.
I appreciate that that's what I appreciate about you. So how is Bilbo getting knocked out to miss half of the battle?
I'm okay with the same way, like someone's just going by and just like knocks him.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I do like the like he sees enough of like the horrors of war. Like maybe like he can be like, oh, they're going up to Ravenhill, tonk, done. And that's the last thing he sees.
What if that's the last thing we see too?
Oh, it's tempting, but I don't know. I'm tempted. I totally understand what you're saying because like it's worked in Game of Thrones, you know, like in that first battle with Tyrion, he gets knocked out and then we just wake up with like the mountain men. So it's definitely worked before. I'm just nervous. If
we're keeping this whole Azog thing and we're setting up the Azog confrontation as the climax of movie 1, you can't resolve it off screen.
But Bilbo wakes up in the actual movie to see Thorin.
Yeah.
So I think you still keep
but
that.
in the book, he wakes up after the battle.
I know, but I think you have Bilbo knocked out and then like you just jump time and then we see him fighting Azog. I'm open to that.
I totally get what you're saying, and I wouldn't like raise too much hell about it, but I do think we've spent enough time with Thorin and on his journey to become king that we as an audience need to see that moment as well.
Yeah.
Like, I get what you're saying, and I'm so tempted to do it. I just think that it just depends on how much Thorin you want in your 2 movies. That's the thing.
I still think you get that beautiful ending scene with Bilbo and Thorin when he's dying. I think it's better than post-war. I think that actually worked really well for me. So I there's like a world where you just you know, Thorin could be like, I did it, I killed him, or whatever, you know, kind of get a little bit of satisfaction that way.
No, I honestly, either way, I'd be okay with.
Yeah, you can.
Either way works for me.
So you get the Thorin death scene. He kills Azog. I think the Thorin death scene is very good.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens?
Then they go home.
Yeah.
Eagles show up. We get way more Bjorn kicking ass.
Totally.
Yeah.
That was underutilization of a very interesting character.
Yep.
I based off of what we were talking about, like, oh, just wait till the next movie. I thought we were going to get more Bjorn, and I'm sad that there wasn't as much.
It is very sad. And like the thing is that, like, you know, in the book, Bjorn is the one that kills Bolg and like defeats like the orc general. So we could have that if we wanted to knock it out. But
Bjorn be hating orcs.
Oh yeah.
Was that supposed to be a play on words, or are you just saying Bjorn be hating?
Both.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'll allow it.
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Thank you for owning it, not being like, no, I was just saying.
No, I really. It's all both. It's both. It's always both.
It's always both.
Yeah. So Bjorn kicking booty.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles escalating.
They come in, save the day.
Gallivanting. Bilbo be low on the ground because he got hit.
Yeah, what about Thorin?
Thorin be throbbing.
Okay, I'm out.
Throbbing shield, wasn't that what it was?
Throbbing Soaking Shield.
I didn't realize we were rewriting this movie to be that kind of film.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's not. We wouldn't be the first, and we're not going to be the last.
Nope.
So we get those beautiful death scene of Thorn. We see Keeley die and Feely die, and no one cares, by the way, because we didn't care about them.
Yeah, we didn't care.
That's a unsolvable problem.
It really is. Like I'm gonna keep the amount of Balin we have in this movie and possibly increase that, because I think him and Thorn's relationship is really good in the Jackson trilogy, and I want to like put a little bit more behind that. But Feely and Keeley, we just like, oh, you're my sister's sons. You're also the line of Durin, so like we established like some importance to them, but we just don't have enough time.
I think we just let it be the first dwarf to die. Like you increase the threat. Like, don't make it absolutely comical the way that they escape the goblin tunnel. Don't make it insanely easy for them to escape the orcs in the wood elves. Like, make it always very dangerous. Like, one of them is always on the verge of dying, and by the time Keeley is the first one thrown off, make it a big deal. That's like, how you earn
have them like take battle wounds and I think that might be a way that you sort of like add to their characters. Is we don't have obviously time to have dialogue and characterization of all these characters, but in like them escaping, we see Feely get like slashed in the arm, and then for the rest of the movie and like up to the Battle of the Five Armies, like he's like, grabbing that arm or whatever, like have them show that battle damage.
Totally.
Because like in I know we were running out of time. We all have hard outs in like 5 minutes, but just like in Harry Potter, like spoilers for Harry Potter real quick. Have you guys read it and seen the movies and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Just like, Fred and George. We know so much more about them in the books, and so that Fred death in the seventh book is just, it made like I had to put the book down for a little bit while I was reading it and regain myself. And in the movie, it doesn't hit as hard, but it still works. It still works because like we've spent time with them. They say the same thing at the same time. We love the Weasleys and stuff like that. So we can do something like that where we don't quite know Feely and Keeley as much, but their deaths still hit us in a way of like, even if it's through Thorin, like showing Thorin watching them die, because we've gotten to know Thorin and Balin, like seeing how they react to the death rather than like so much for us.
To that exact point, the werewolf guy and his wife, we don't even see their deaths in the film for Harry Potter. The teacher who was the werewolf.
Oh, Lupin? I mean, we don't see it in the book either.
Well, that's what I mean. So, like, but it still impacts us, right?
Yeah.
Like, we know that they have a kid and all that stuff. But that's right. Anyway, so let us just mourn these babies, and then I even think that we didn't have any resolution with Bard in Peter Jackson's. So, do we need it?
I think we get a montage of like Thorin giving, or I guess technically it's Bilbo's share that he takes, but them getting the gold and like
giving the diamonds away.
Yeah, like we get kind of a little montage of that, and then that
like
leads...
rebuilding. So like you can see like the barrels going downstream and them getting like goods and helping each other lift the barn.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then include in that like maybe similar things with like the funeral for Feely and Keeley and Thorin and everything. So like we get all of that wrap up and kind of some of that resolution in this montage, and then we get the goodbye scene with Bilbo and the dwarves. I think do it similarly.
You keep it.
Yeah, keep it the way they did it. I love it.
It works so well.
And then we get the journey home and keep the same exact outfit for Martin Freeman because I love it so much.
Pretty great.
That's the cosplay you have to do on your stream, Alex.
I want to if I can put it together.
You can put that together. He puts it together.
I need a big old shield. Where am I going to get a shield?
You can make that out of cardboard. I'm happy to help you.
Come on, okay. we got foam. We got everything.
100%. It can be done. He just has never cosplayed before, so
yeah. It's a little ambitious, I think.
I've got a friend with a 3D printer. We'll make it happen.
But yes.
Oh. Okay.
Yes, we can make it happen.
But yeah, I think the only thing I would change is again the ring stuff, right? don't make it as ominous. Like, I get it. We all know what happens in Lord of the Rings, but like, keep that. And I also say keep the auctioning off of stuff.
It's so good. It works.
And the like, Thor. Who is this Thorin? Oh, my friend. Like, keep that. I love that. It's great.
And it works so well. And maybe we didn't. I don't know if I touched on this, but it works so well because he keeps on wanting to come back to the comforts. He keeps on wanting to come back to the comforts, and he comes to a bare home, and he is never been more fulfilled, and it totally works.
It does.
Do we have old Bilbo in the ending, bridging the two movies?
No.
I agree, because like, we don't need it, and I think this version is so much less about the like connecting it to the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings trilogy, because we're cutting out so much of that stuff that was doing that in his original version. So we don't need the full circle. I think having Ian Holmes, if you want, in the beginning, like
Holm,
Ian Holm. Having him in the beginning with Elijah Wood, okay, give a little nod and that, but I don't think we need. I think let's celebrate in our version. Let's celebrate Martin Freeman, and let's end on Martin Freeman.
Honestly,
because he's
totally
the
agree.
Best thing.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Totally agree.
He should be the last thing we see.
I couldn't agree more. I didn't need to see Ian Holm. I didn't, because he looking too old. And it's distracting. I'm sorry, the man's dead now. R.I.P. He was a knight, I'm sure. Sir Ian Holm, we didn't need it, but yes, the main takeaway I think is Martin Freeman.
Yes, absolutely.
So in this bittersweet ending of our movie, I think we made a good movie. Any parting thoughts for this expected journey that we all took?
Thank you guys for having me on. It's been a wonderful time examining these movies, the good, the bads, the funs, the video game moments, the ridiculous things. But yeah, just like even talking about like the overview of this, like I thought this was going to be a short one. It might be like our longest episode yet.
It is actually.
But I love it. It's been so fun, and I can't thank you guys enough for having me.
It's so easy to talk to you. It was as fun as I thought it was going to be, if not more. And yeah, we'll definitely have a different pace without you, and that will take some getting used to as well. So we'll have to have you back soon. Any thoughts, Alex? Or actually, Ben, really quick, give us your not really quick, but give us your Patreon deets and
everywhere
deets.
at the Ben Goddard, Patreon, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and then Twitch, Ben Goddard TTV on Twitch. So come check me out, guys.
Awesome. All right, Alex, boy, daddy, what are we doing? I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
Well, yeah, I guess my final thoughts. I mean, I enjoyed rewatching this trilogy. First time seeing the extended was great. I love what we did with the reducing of the two movies. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Ben. It's always I'm always looking forward to these episodes with you. Again, I love hearing the Hobbit fan perspective. So it's
glad
great
to have it.
And yeah, looking forward to having you back on for some other stuff. I guess you can find me at twitch.tv/Solkatu, SOLKTTU. And hopefully, I'll be doing a Lord of the Rings themed stream if we hit some certain goals. So that's definitely one thing you want to go there for. And yeah, should I give the...
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, you can contact us at twitter.com/PodOfTheRings. Let us know your thoughts. And, yeah, some great episode clips being posted there. If you want to check those out, you can email us at you can email us at podcastoftherings@gmail.com.
Confusing.
Let us know your outline for a 2-movie or maybe a 1-movie version of The Hobbit. Who knows? Let us know your thoughts there. You can go to patreon.com/PodOfTheRings to support the channel, and still waiting on someone to take that exclusive One Ring tier for that one-of-a-kind t-shirt. And last but not least, you can go to podcastoftherings.com and find all of that stuff and more in one place.
Gentlemen, this has been a pleasure. I know the audience has thoroughly enjoyed it. Folks, give us some tweets and shout out at us and let Ben know how much you enjoyed him on our show. And until next time, Ben, you got to say it.
May our roads meet again.
Oh, nailed it.
You said the thing.